Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Attendees at the campus event where US conservative activist Charlie Kirk was fatally shot have described mass panic after a shot was heard.
Oh my God. Go, run.
The 31-year-old was killed after he was hit in the neck by a single bullet, which law enforcement believes came from a shooter on the roof of a nearby building. The influencer and close Donald Trump ally had been speaking to about 3,000 people on his American comeback tour at Utah Valley University. Videos on social media show Kirk talking about gun violence moments before he was shot.
A student went up there and asked Charlie Kirk a question about how many transgender shooters there had been in U.S. history. Charlie Kirk answered, the student gave him a rebuttal. And then Charlie Kirk goes to pick up the microphone to answer the second question, and that's when the shots went off.
We got there about an hour early and had found some what we thought were good seats. It wasn't until shortly after that we moved down to the fence and were allowed to sit just off from the stage where he presented. Everything went as planned. He actually even came out and handed my son, a couple of hats. So it was a wonderful, wonderful gesture, and we were excited. And after about the second question that was asked is about the time we heard the shot.
Starting at 11:52 a.m., the subject arrived on campus, shortly away from campus. We have tracked his movements onto the campus, through the stairwells, up to the roof, across the roof to a shooting location. After the shooting, we were able to track his movements as he moved to the other side of the building, jumped off of the building, and fled off of the campus and into a neighborhood.
At least 35 people have been killed in Israeli airstrikes on Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. That's according to the Iran-backed group's health ministry. The Israeli military said it struck military targets in the capital Sana'a, including what it called the Houthis' military public relations headquarters, in response to recent missile and drone attacks on Israel. However, the Houthis' military spokesman said the targets were civilian, adding that journalists and passers-by were killed when the two offices were hit. At least 14 people in Bali in Indonesia have been killed in what officials say are the island's worst floods in a decade. Torrential rains triggered severe flooding across most of the island, causing rivers to burst their banks. The rain has now stopped and water levels are receding, but rescuers are still searching for survivors. 2 people are still missing in an area where 8 deaths occurred. Since Tuesday, hundreds of residents have been evacuated as their homes were submerged. Major roads have been shut by landslides and at least 2 bridges damaged.
We agreed with them that West African nationals.
Ghana has become the latest country to accept people deported from the US as part of President Donald Trump's crackdown on illegal migration. President John Mahama said nationals from West African countries would now be taken in following a bilateral agreement with the US. He said 14 had already arrived. He cited the regional bloc ECOWAS's free movement protocol that allows citizens of member states to enter and reside in other West African countries without a visa for up to 90 days. Last month, the US deported 7 migrants to Rwanda, while in July 5 were sent to Eswatini and 8 others to South Sudan. The UK Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, has sacked Peter Mandelson as the UK's ambassador to the US after he faced mounting scrutiny over his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. The Foreign Office says the decision was made in light of additional information from emails between the 2 men. According to the department, they show that the depth and extent of Peter Mandelson's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is materially different from that known at the time of his appointment. And the Irish broadcaster RTE has said it will not take part in the 2026 Eurovision Song Contest if the participation of Israel goes ahead. In a statement, RTE said that Ireland's participation in the event would be unconscionable given the ongoing and appalling loss of lives in Gaza. Ireland has won the contest 7 times in total, most recently in 1996. RTE will make a final decision once the Eurovision organisers, the European Broadcasting Union, makes its decision. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.